Truth or Fate means Vedika Bahl over by the big book. Good evening to you, Vedika. The AI Action Summit took place in Paris this week. The French President is getting blasted on social media for allegedly snubbing certain world leaders. The images, perhaps not what they seem. Tell us more.
No, Mark, they are not what they seem. But first, I want to take a look at the viral moment, the viral video that's caused all of this controversy. It alleges that the French President Emmanuel Macron snubbed the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi by refusing to shake his hand. Now, in that video, we see Emmanuel Macron shake the hand of the US Vice President Vance. He then goes on to shake a smattering of hands in the row behind him there. He greets the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, but he does not shake the hand of Narendra Modi sitting on the chair. Now, social media users were very quick to react to that sentiment of a snub. This post on X had over 500,000 views just by itself, but again, reiterating that Modi had very much been stood up for a handshake by Macron. Other people said that this is an insult on international forums, even pointing to the fact that Modi might be losing global respect. Other internet users were more critical of Macron and frustrated with him, saying that he is the Prime Minister of India. This is unacceptable to insult India like this on the international stage, and that what is wrong with Macron? He is the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy, India. This is unacceptable. Now, what I can confirm to you is that these claims of a snub by Macron to Modi are completely baseless and lacking some very much needed context. There was no snub by Macron to Modi at this AI summit. Why? Purely because Macron and Modi were chairing this AI summit here in Paris together. Now, the two had already met earlier that day at the Grand Palais here in Paris. We can see time-stamped proof here, 10:17 a.m. from news agency photos. Modi did very much get that handshake from the French president when he was greeted by him earlier in the day. And if we take a look at the longer video of what happened before that alleged snub, the two of them actually entered that room into the summit together. They walked in together to greet all of their guests. They then went their separate ways to talk to a few other people later in the video, before we saw that moment that we saw there, where Modi has sat down by this point in the chair and Macron goes on to greet the rest of the guests. So absolutely not a snub, but missing some context. Now, I will say that the first instance that we could find of this false snub claim circulating online was from pro-Russian media outlets that then trickled down into Western media and foreign media as they do and began to circulate as a fake news snubbing on social media. But this is very much not a snub from from Macron to Modi, because how, Mark, could you snub the person that you are co-chairing an international summit with?
Co-chairing the summit with, hanging out with, basically going around with all day. There's no snubbing going on at all. And it's interesting, as you say, it comes from a pro-Russian source that this is a snub at all. So I think you've completely nailed that one for us, as always, Vedika. Thank you. We saw Vance in his resplendent red tie there in the video, shaking hands with Emmanuel Macron. On similar lines, there are falsehoods that are spreading that Macron actually refused to welcome Vance. Tell us more on this.
Yes, so we saw in our previous example there that Vance had shaken hands with Macron at the AI summit, but now there's claims online that Macron was absent to welcome the US Vice President on the steps of the Élysée Palace. This is the video going viral of Vance entering the steps of the Élysée, and Macron is not there to welcome him and usher him in. And again, on social media, people were quick to criticize Macron. They said, do you think this breach of protocol is intentional? What exactly is Emmanuel Macron playing at? Now, Macron not being at the door is simply due to a scheduling issue. This is the day before we saw that video of the handshake. This is the night before the dinner at the Élysée, and Macron was elsewhere. And according to official protocol at the Élysée Palace, when Macron is not available to greet the guests himself, he has a chief of protocol, a director of protocol, a man named Frédéric Billet, who is designated to greet the guests. And in the longer video, that is exactly what happens. Vance steps out of the car. He is greeted by the chief of protocol before he goes inside and leaves Vance for a photo op. So this is the excerpt that is being framed on social media there as an absent, as a snub of Vance. But that is not what happened. It is purely protocol. That is exactly the same protocol that was followed when Ukrainian President Zelensky arrived to Paris in December. We can see the chief of protocol there, again, greeting Zelensky on the steps, not Macron. And for any critics out there, I just want to confirm that JD Vance himself posted this thank you message on X to the French president, thanking him for greeting him and his wife, Usha Vance, on the steps of the Élysée Palace. So he did get that presidential welcome in the end, Mark. It just wasn't before that official dinner.
Like him or loathe him, he was not snubbed. Vedika